I know I retweeted it, but it took me a minute to like realize.
Claris is Pringle Mommy.
Oh, hello. we are live.
Yeah.
You guys can take it away and get started with the best 3D Sonic game.
Damn right.
Yeah, hi there. My name is AmberCyprian. I speedrun this game and have for a very long time. And I am joined tonight with my lovely commentator, TGH.
Yo, what's up, guys?
So I'm gonna go ahead and just get some very basic questions out of the way. What version do you run on? I am running on the Sega Genesis version that is being played through the Sonic Mega Collection disc on GameCube. So I am playing on GameCube for the Genesis port. Alright, good. What controller do you use? I use a GameCube controller. Is this the Saturn version? No. Is this the same thing as Sonic Blast on the Game Gear? No. What category is this? Best ending? What does it pertain to? The 7 Chaos Emeralds in the final fight. That's what we're doing.
On SRC, it's called Good Ending, but hopefully
no, it's
that'll
actually
change
Best
soon.
Ending.
Oh,
now.
it is Best
yeah,
Ending?
no,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
been Best Ending for like 3 weeks.
Okay, cool. I actually didn't know. Okay,
yeah, no,
so
Kid and I
haven't
changed
looked
it.
too closely at it, but alright, awesome.
Alright, so without any further ado, I'm gonna just give us a countdown, and we're gonna get right into it. So, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so if you don't know anything about Sonic 3D Blast, it is the best 3D Sonic game, yes, Sextrax is absolutely correct. So basically what the game consists of is you see that a little bird just popped out of one of those enemies that she killed. These are called flickies, and we'll get more into like each of the different types of flickies later on, but the main gist is you collect 5 flickies per sector in each area. Every zone has either 2 or 3 sectors. Green Grove 1 happens to have 2 sectors, so you bring them to that little warp ring that she just flipped over, and they transport you to the next area. That's pretty simple. This category, as Amber did mention before the run started, is Best Ending, which consists of getting 7 Chaos Emeralds, and we'll get more into that once Green Grove 2 starts, because that's where Amber's going to start with a ring route. You have to have 50 rings, and then go meet either Tails or Knuckles in each of the stages. They're just kind of chilling around in fixed places. So you bring 50 rings to them, and they transport you to a special stage, and then you complete. They're pretty simple special stages in the Genesis version. We'll get more into differences in versions later, but yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. And then yeah, so what Amber's doing now is she's starting a ring route, and it's very, very important for her to actually not get hit by any enemies here, because if she does, she loses all her rings, and then she can't actually get to the special stages.
Meanwhile, I'm fighting with flickies and their AI being
Fighting
garbage.
with flickies is very common in this game, so I'll get into flicky AI now. So there are 4 different types of flickies. There are blue, green, purple, and red. Blue and purple flickies will tend to wander towards Sonic. The blues a little bit more than the purples, long story short. The red flickies bounce around all over the place, very high, and but they mostly stay in the same position. And green flickies are the worst, pretty much by far. They just tend to wander in any sort of random direction. They could wander towards Sonic, they could wander away from Sonic. It's completely, it's pretty much random.
Yeah, thanks to a fairly recent discovery by Upthorn on, like, after he looked into some of the data I asked him to look into, we found out that the flicky directional AI, so, like, what direction they're gonna face and go in, is actually based on the frame they're touching the ground on upon release. So, like, every few frames in the level, so it's all global, every few frames it checks, like, where Sonic's location is, or, like, what direction the flicky's facing in. And if it's an odd frame, it turns one way. If it's an even frame, it turns another. It's so strange, and it was a really interesting way to handle, like, what is essentially pseudo-RNG in this game for especially the green and red flickies.
Yeah, so you notice in that special stage, Amber collected exactly 169 rings. That's very important. Don't ask why. Just, it's important, trust me.
Yeah, the way special stages work in this game is that you are expected to, get 150 rings by the end of the third section, so 50, 100, and 150. We go for 169 for a very, very important reason. I can't go into the details here. But the long story short is I am a giant child.
In all seriousness, though, there is a point to not collecting too many rings. So you know, she was going out of her way to avoid a lot of rings later on in the stage. Tough. These worms are on a global cycle. It's tough to judge sometimes where they are in the cycle. But yeah, if you collect too many rings, actually you lose a few frames on the bonus screen.
Yeah, the tally
that
screen.
Counts down the tallies. Yeah. So it's a nice reason, yes.
Is it a nice reason? It's the best reason.
Alright, so here's the first boss of the game. Eggman is just descending down into the field of play here, and he's gonna get wrecked.
Hopefully he's gonna get wrecked.
Okay.
I'm doing this run off of just waking up not too long ago, so, contrary to most of my runs being very sleep-deprived, this is one where it's just, like, very groggy, and yeah, this is gonna be a very bad, what in the world, 4 cycle?
Yes. Yeah, optimally, you want to get 2 hits per cycle there. Sometimes it's hard, though. The timing is a little bit tight to actually get the 2 hits.
Yeah, especially if you're on uneven ground, and which can mess with Sonic's height with his jumps, because slopes are weird.
So welcome to Best Music Zone, Act 1. Rusty Ruin introduces some different types of tiles later on the level. Tiles that let you spin around like a pretty ballerina and break these columns, because Sonic, there's no way Sonic can get around the columns otherwise or break them. He needs help to spin, apparently. Sonic can't spin on his own. So we need these spinning tiles to break those columns, and then you can just get out of the spinning state. So I'm going to go into a little bit about Amber's Chaos Emerald route here. So the route that she's doing is a marathon safe route. It's not quite an optimal route, but it's very safe. So there is a serious danger in Best Ending of not being able to collect every Chaos Emerald and thus not being able to complete the run. So what she's doing is she's getting, as opposed to getting the slightly more optimal Volcano Valley 2, which is the last level you can actually get an emerald in, she is going to get all of her emeralds basically as soon as she can. So instead of doing VV2, or Volcano Valley 2, she's going to be doing Volcano Valley 1. Which is slightly slower, but again, much safer and very respectable to do that in the marathon.
Yeah, there's, after some rerouting happened about 6 months ago, between myself, Sega Junkie, the only kid, and Zergriff, we discovered that there's about 10 to 12 viable emeralds, mostly 10, and we need 7 of those. And one of the viable emeralds I don't ever actually get, and it's in Green Grove 1, because it's actually fairly slow, and, like, would much rather just get emeralds, like, a little bit later that are a little easier, though you'd be hard-pressed to believe that this emerald is any easier with how I'm playing. But mostly what happens is I have 2 backup emeralds, and oh my god, that's a giant ant on my wall.
Oh.
Holy crap. TGH, while I explain Freed Flicky Flagging, can you kill that ant for me?
Sure.
I am terrified of insects, everyone, and this is a mild crisis. But anyways, so you'll notice that I didn't collect all of the flickies that I released there, and that's because of a very, not a very recent, but a fairly recent discovery by Zergriff, who also runs this game on the Sega Saturn. It's probably near my lamp. Anyways, good lord, it's huge. That thing is freaking huge. Good lord. Anyways, the reason why we didn't pick up all the flickies is because TGH just saved my life, but really it's because I picked up 200 rings there because I was not concentrating whatsoever. But you'll notice that all these flickies are are following me as soon as I come out of the special stage, and that's because flickies have 3 states in this game. They have trapped, which is still in the badnik that they're trapped in. freed, which is when they're freed from the badnik but not actively following Sonic, and then following. For some reason, when you exit a special stage, and I think it was for a failsafe, if you have a bunch of freed flickies wandering around the stage, when you exit this special stage, they are set to following Sonic, so their flags get switched, which is why it's called freed flicky flagging. Also, we named it that way so people could completely screw up the name on stream.
Good job on the pronunciation there, I was gonna say. Yeah.
Me freaking out about a giant bug in my room, like, just, that was, alarming. I love spring and summertime, don't you? But
yes,
yeah.
So this is not the only level where Amber will be, fleed fricky fragging here. So, she'll be doing that as well in Diamond Dust, which is the 4th, zone.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe that's the only one.
That's the only other place I do it. There's a couple other places you... Oh, no. Volcano Valley 1.
Yep, Volcano Valley 1.
Nice.
Good backup.
Alright,
there are a couple different ways to back that up. Alright, so Amber's going to be attempting a quick kill here on the Ruin 3 boss. Let's see if she gets it.
Oh god, I forgot what act I was in. We're not getting that quick kill. Actually, what I'll do here is I'll demonstrate, I'll try to demonstrate it here, because this run is already off to a great start. There we go.
There it is.
Oh! No, okay.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. It's all under control.
So basically what she did there was she jumped up into Eggman's hitbox, or the hitbox of the statue in general that Eggman kind of descends down onto. And immediately turns to the right so that she gets knocked back onto the hand.
What stage am I in? I don't know.
This is Spring Stadium 1, I think.
You think? I mean,
yeah.
I thought it was Discount Candyland.
You're right.
Like, just look at it.
AKA McDonald's Play Place.
Nah, this is not even good enough for a McDonald's Play Place. Ronald McDonald wouldn't grace this place with his presence. Are you kidding me? But, yeah, this introduces some other new floor tiles, as you can probably already see.
Yeah, we have the spring tiles, and we have the lovely spike tiles, which, as soon as you step on them, they just pop up with spikes.
Yeah, it takes about a half second or so for them to start to react to Sonic existing. But you'll notice that I'm getting jebaited by this, ring box, but we need that 10 ring box to be able to get 50 so we can give them the tails for our 3rd Chaos Cough Drop. I mean, Emerald.
This is the Burger King Play Place. Yes, it is.
Middle of the night, Sonic 3D Blast speedruns are always a good time. Now that I'm a little more relaxed after seeing that ant die, we're gonna have to arm ourselves to the teeth with these 7 Chaos Cough Drops, so that we can fight Eggman, who is the Lord of the Ants.
All right, let's see if we can pull this off.
There we go. Let's go.
Yes, nice. All right, awesome.
Very important. Very, very important. That's huge. Oh my god.
All right, so continuing on with SS1. Anything notable about SS1 anymore?
Other than
that balloon.
That balloon, yes. We could talk about the fact that speed shoes are only about a second faster here.
Yeah, we haven't talked about speed shoes. Well, with any Sonic game, there's speed shoes, right? They basically do the same thing in this game. You get them, like she just did, and you go super fast.
No! Sorry. We actually found out that they only save about a second, despite the fact that you'd think that they'd save a lot more time. But you're gonna see me in Spring Stadium 2, you're gonna see me focus on trying to use as many slope jumps as I can to my advantage.
I think they save more time in Best Ending, because I don't think you can reach the blowfish otherwise.
No, you can!
You can? Okay,
I think so.
Okay, alright.
But slope jumps are important. If you want to talk about a little bit about how, the geometry of stages will, like, affect Sonic, like how his physics work.
So you see these slopes all over the place, right? Well, they actually affect your momentum. You can see, like, that jump right there. She basically jumped downwards off of the slope. She was just holding down.
Who thought that was a good idea?
To put that bad thing right on the bumpers, yeah, I know, right? But yeah, so the slopes affect. I don't believe they affect your running speed when you're running at full speed.
They don't.
They affect your acceleration, though. Just gonna get this gold shield down here. But when you jump off of them, you can really tell how they affect the jumps.
I was not holding B. Alright. Also, the gold shield also homes in on balloons.
Yeah, the gold shield is like basically, if you ever played Sonic Adventure or Sonic Adventure 2, is it just Sonic Adventure 2? I actually don't know.
Any of them.
Yeah, so the gold shield is basically the precursor, I guess, to like homing attacks in Sonic Adventure. So.
Yeah, it was like the prehistoric way of dealing with it because, I mean, look at this isometric viewpoint. Depth perception is really, really hard.
Yeah, the devs had some mercy, so they gave you the gold shield.
Yeah, they thought that was a good idea, which was probably one of their only good ideas.
There are actually two of them in this level. The other one is right up there on that column.
Yeah, if I'd gone right.
Yep.
If we played 2 players, 1 controller, we had lost the gold shield. Oh my lord. That was a very interesting way of doing that. I completely forgot to jump while I was on those spikes, but like, okay. Why?
Alright, so now we're coming up to the worst boss in
probably all of Sonic,
maybe
actually.
Any game I've ever played. This is SS3.
That's about what I expected there. All right, so 4 hits is not bad.
Well done. Okay, so believe it or not, there's a way to manipulate that boss to get all 8 hits while you're on the ground. It's very, very difficult to pull off, especially in a marathon setting. But yeah, bottom line is that boss is extremely rude. Basically, you hit him once and he changes levels from low to high, high to low, etc.
Nice spring! I somehow didn't get hit by that snowman. I was trying to take that turn really tight.
Those snowmen are the worst enemies in the game, by the way. That was the worst boss in the game, and then you immediately encounter the worst enemy in the game, the snowman. So there are acts later where there are turrets that shoot bullets in all directions. Just imagine that moving.
Yeah.
And you have your snowman, and then you have to kill the snowman by either jumping on it or rolling into it. But it's a lot safer to jump on them because of a glitch. Actually, it's the only real glitch in this game. So it's very similar to the Sonic 1 spike death glitch, where you are supposed to have iframes, but you don't, and she's flagging flickies here.
Yeah, don't be alarmed.
Don't panic. So it's very similar to the spike glitch in Sonic 1, where you're supposed to have iframes, but you actually don't. And what happens is you get hit by a bullet first, I think it is.
Yes.
You get hit by a bullet and then by the snowman immediately, and you just die. It doesn't matter if you have rings. It doesn't matter if you have a shield. You just die immediately, and it's very annoying. It's very annoying, especially since it saves about half a second to roll into a snowman rather than jump into it, because rolling hits both the snowman and the flicky that is like encapsulated in ice after you destroy the snowman.
Oh, I did not actually pay attention to my ring count.
This is ultimate swag right here, by the way. 169 after Sector 2 of the of special stage.
Also, Pringle Daddy said, "Did I just hear we're doing 2 players, 1 controller, any % after?"
I mean, if we're ahead of schedule.
If we're that far ahead, we could. We have done that before to try to offset a schedule. And we're also doing any % 2 players, 1 controller for another marathon come June. What in the world, please? There we go.
Jumping up the river, formerly known as Jump Storage River.
Yeah, it's actually slower to use jump storage.
Jump storage.
Oh god, how did we forget to talk about jump storage?
Okay, jump storage. There is a feature in this game, or a mechanic in the game, called jump storage, where you see she's jumping up this platform. In a lot of cases, actually, she's holding the A button, or her jump button, basically. She's holding the jump button while she's in the air in order to jump on the first frame possible when she lands, and that's a feature of this game that I don't believe is in any other Sonic game.
That is correct. Unless it's in, like, one of the Game Gear games, in which case that would be very obscure. But in any of the classic titles on the Genesis, that is exclusive to this game. Yeah, it's essentially jump buffering.
Yeah, except in Celeste it's only 5 frames, and here it's infinite frames as long as you're in the air.
Yeah, that is actually correct.
Yep. Alright, so she'll be collecting actually 2 emeralds in this stage, and that's, I'm actually going to be quiet here because this snowman that she's going to encounter right here is kind of terrifying.
Screw the snowman. Alright, you can talk again.
Alright, we're good. Awesome. So, alright, so I'm going to actually talk about the differences now between the Genesis and some of the other versions. So, the main difference from a speedrun perspective is in the Genesis version, you can actually collect 2 emeralds in a single stage. So Knuckles and Tails are both in this stage, and you can get Knuckles. Like Amber's gonna get Tails right here, and then after she gets Tails, she's gonna collect 50 more rings and get Knuckles later in the stage. You actually cannot do that in the Saturn or PC versions. It just gives you an extra life instead. So the Genesis version is, even if load times were not a factor, Genesis would still be the fastest version.
Yeah, I mean, you could possibly find a very optimal Emerald route, and it is very possible. The ring route that's the Emerald route that's currently used in PC and Saturn. I have the world record for PC, and Zergrip has the world record for Saturn. We actually? I failed you. I'm sorry, Tej.
Well, the run's over now.
But yeah, the Emerald route, instead of getting 2 emeralds here, we actually pick up Volcano Valley 2 tails. The other, like, it's strange. The route I do specifically will pick up Volcano Valley 2 tails in lieu of Diamond Dust 2 tails, and we just only go for Knuckles because it is a much more relaxed ring route in DD2 here. So I actually want 27 rings. 27 to 28 is fine. To be able to get 50, because there's a lot of rings on this automated section coming up right here.
Totally epic auto-scroller here. So there are a lot of sections like this in the game, like to begin sectors and whatnot. Yeah, this section you are not controlling Sonic at all until right there.
Okay.
You can go in there?
Apparently you can. Like, what in the blue world? But this is Knuckles 6. Knuckles 6 sucks. There's a lot of spike balls around. It's, again...
Huge clusters, like, look at that. It's like
yeah.
They had fun with an editing tool.
They probably did. It's like Mario Paint. It's like, we'll just copy and paste all these sprites here. It's fine. So the special stages do actually get progressively faster. They don't get any more difficult, really. It's just like the speed, if you're not used to them, and the depth perception has you like all sorts of there we go, jacked up.
Nice.
Like it's oh, I'm still in Diamond Dust 1. Okay, I was like, why am I like 4 minutes behind? My god. It's because I didn't split earlier.
Alright, so now Amber only needs to get 1 more emerald, and she actually has 2 stages to do that, but she's only going to need 1.
Correct.
Which is Volcano Valley 1.
That actually has a very, very tight ring route, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get in there, because we still have, like, one of the dumbest looking bosses in the game.
Yeah, we haven't touched too much on the AI of some of the bosses, but this is a treat to see right here. The Eggman's AI is like actually fantastic here. So Amber's gonna get the first couple of hits by luring him to the side in order to see his height a little better. I want her to go right, and then wait for him to come down, hit him, rinse and repeat for the third hit.
Yeah, for the first like 4 or so.
Yeah, and then after the 4th hit, things get funny.
I went a little early there. There we go.
So she's just gonna like stay attached to this top wall, and Eggman's just gonna bounce, 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 bounce.
Yeah, this
bounce.
is the boss.
Oh, and he
changed direction. Wow, Eggman changing it up.
Yeah, sometimes
Shoot.
If we're lucky, we're gonna see Eggman just like go off in the middle of nowhere.
Oh no, not this time. That's fine.
Okay, that's fine. Alright, so Volcano Valley 1. So this ring route is tight, as Amber said. There are only 2 rings of leeway before you get to Knuckles in the middle of Sector 1 here.
And then in the Saturn and PC version, there are no rings of leeway.
Yep.
It's a perfect 50 ring route!
It works.
That one terrifies me. I just hate, like, the idea of, like, accidentally falling into the pit of lava, which has happened a number of times.
There we go. So,
but we should be good.
yep. So assuming Amber does complete this special stage.
I mean, look at them. I'd be hard-pressed to say I wouldn't.
Well, what if he fell off the edge?
Oh, yeah, like, I guess. I guess.
Like, yeah.
Like,
Wow.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you can't fall off the edge in special stages. So these special stages look really hard, and I like to pretend that, like, you know.
No!
Like,
That's what I get.
I like to pretend that you can, like, fall off the edge, because it looks like you can from the viewer's perspective, but yeah, you can't. You can just rub up against the edge of the walkway, and you'll never fall off. So now we have all the Chaos Emeralds, and that's a very clean Emerald route.
No!
So that's well done. That is, like, the battle and best ending is getting all the emeralds without messing up any ring routes.
Yeah, like, long story short, the rest of the run, up until... I hate
Nice
slope
slope
jumps. What a weird slope. Anyways, the rest of the run up until the final fight will be, any percent, essentially. Like, once you have all the Chaos Cough Drops, it is essentially go mode. Nice!
Oh.
What in the world am I doing with my life there? Alright. I am having so much fun. I actually am having a ton of fun. Like, I went into this like, oh man, I actually have a marathon run I have to do today. Most of them I go in, like, super self-conscious and, like, very nervous about what I'm gonna do or how I'm gonna look. I'm like, no, not today. I'm very relaxed. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're fine.
These blue platforms, by the way, you can see her jumping a little bit early, like, before up. Okay.
Alright. I did that last marathon run I did too.
Yeah,
There's my jump.
Okay, so yeah, if you jump, it's actually pretty tight. Like, the inputs required are pretty close together. But if you so basically you need a spin dash to activate the platform, and then you can immediately jump, or you can immediately let go of your spin dash and then jump again. But it's kind of tight. It's kind of weird because you have to actually let go completely of the spin dash button before you can jump, and that's what makes it difficult.
Claris was like, that's what I deserve for the special stage hit in Pringle Daddy with oh god, how my mentality was the best way to come into, like, one of these events. So let's talk about how awful Flicky AI is over lava.
It doesn't exist.
It just doesn't exist. They try to go for, I think, the nearest landmass, but that was certainly not the nearest landmass that Flicky was trying to go to. And thankfully, due to a if you think the red Flickies would be hard enough to spot, don't worry. The purple Flickies, due to a palette limitation in this game, because it's a Genesis game, the purple Flickies are a very nice shiny red that blends in with the lava.
Yeah.
So if you can't see it, that's pretty normal, actually. I think they share a palette with mostly the lava, but also especially the fireballs that come out of the lava. Please grab that Flicky. If anyone ever gives me a green Flicky plushie, I'm gonna fight them on sight. Like, I will say that to the day I die.
By the way, a special feature of the flame shield that Amber has is that depending on which frame you fall on, Sonic is either a giant red ball or it doesn't have a shield at all. It's an invisible shield. But basically, it alternates on and off on a 60 frames per second rate. But basically, on a more serious note, the flame shield prevents any damage from fire attacks, with the exception of one fire ball, I guess you want to call it, fireball. That comes
It's
out
a
of the lava
fireball.
near where you get that shield. That's actually a really good BB3. That's a really good BB3. That might be 18.
I don't know. We'll find out.
19 at worst. Yep, there it is.
Yeah, that was a 19.
Yeah, very nice.
Sub 20 is very nice, because 20s and 21s are pretty common. So, worst zone, Act 1.
You can't take fire damage with the fire shield, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
So the reason I call this...
rambling.
It's cool. The reason why we call this worst zone Act 1 is because Gene Gadget, if you were to ask me, hey Amber, I'm thinking about running 3D Blast, what stages should I learn first? And this is essentially what TGH said to me when he approached me to learn the game. I was like, Gene Gadget 1 and Gene Gadget 2.
That is exactly correct.
And the reason is because they're actually kind of hard. They introduce a couple of different floor tiles, and you'll also notice I have a new feature from the Blue Shield, which the Blue Shield is typically in a Sonic game just a standard shield where it protects from one hit and that's it. It also protects you from electricity, which is introduced by one of the floor tiles in this game, where if you stand on, it's a lot like the spike tiles in Spring Stadium, where about a half second after Sonic steps on that floor tile, it tries to electrocute him. Blue Shield ignores the electricity, and just straight up doesn't care. And then there's also these fan tiles where I hope you like falling hopelessly and like completely vulnerable, because that's what they do, and they're awful, and in some cases mandatory.
The fun fact about that last teleporter, if you don't have 5 flickies going into that teleporter, it brings you back not to the beginning of the sector, but to the beginning of the entire level. I don't know why. It's kind of dumb, but like that's just what happens. So you have to make sure you have all 5 flickies there.
Also, it's time for my favorite part of the run. It's not anyone's favorite part of the run. The Slope of Rage. Let's talk about that.
Rage. So the Slope of Rage is a giant slope in the middle of Sector 1 that if you touch it at all, you're basically screwed, and you fall all the way down to where Amber got that first purple flicky. So she's gonna be okay. She's gonna be doing something. I was gonna say she's gonna be doing something safe here, but you went ahead and proved me a fool. So, but yeah, that's the Slope of Rage, and that was pretty well handled.
Oh, I started. The noises you're making are...
That was close, because that electric fence is actually active, and you can touch that and lose all your flickies at the very end of the sector. Okay, but yeah, that was the Slope of Rage, and it was well handled, as I said.
Are you sure? Because you started to have a heart attack about halfway through
I mean, it was well handled, all's well that ends well, I guess.
Oh god. That was interesting.
That was almost the other Slope of Rage there for a minute. All's well that ends well.
Sure.
Pretty good, Giga 2. We call it Giga because GG is already taken by Green Grove. So
I hope y'all like auto-scrollers, because we're about to get essentially an auto-scroller of a boss.
Yep. With an added twist, you can actually stand at a 45-degree angle to the edge of this conveyor belt, and it'll only push you back at about 3 frames per second.
3 pixels per second.
3, yeah. Thank you. 3 pixels per second. My bad. 3 frames per second is pretty bad.
That's a pretty bad frame rate. Not gonna lie. Speaking of frame rates, actually, you'll notice that on my feed it looks like this game is running at 30. That's a product of my capture card. Don't mind it. Yep. But it's actually a 60 frames per second game, and it doesn't actually feature any slowdown. But because of that, one of the reasons why it achieves this is because if I lose rings, and it's very possible in the final fight, you'll notice that some of them straight up disappear immediately rather than bouncing around. And I think that's actually, they're programmed to do that in the event of too many sprites on the screen. So it's very, very common in the final fight, because there's like these particles that are all individual sprites that are there to provide an additional visual effect, but they eat my rings, and I'm not happy about that. So I have died on the last hit of the final fight a number of times and lost runs to it. I thankfully haven't done that in a marathon run to my knowledge, at least to my recollection. But yeah, Panic Puppet 1. That would... Okay, the Flicky's not gonna go on vacation.
You didn't pull a me. That's good.
Yeah. So go ahead and
You wanna-
talk about
you wanna get a ring.
Oh
Get a
yeah,
ring.
you're right. You're right.
Okay.
You're right. Because of that.
Because that is really hard to get through. Okay.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Okay, so yeah, Panic Puppet 1 is the zone where Robotnik gets really lazy, and instead of putting, or Eggman, excuse me, gets really lazy, and puts the flickies not in badniks, but instead in these long, pain-in-the-butt cylindrical tubes that are really, really hard to jump on. I feel like Eggman would have fared a lot better putting them in these throughout the entire game.
I
be honest with
absolutely
you.
agree, because you can't, like, it's so awful. Does the ring limitation still happen on Saturn and PC? I'm not sure, actually. I think it does, but I'd have to actually test it. There has not been a lot of testing on Saturn and PC. There's been more on Saturn because of Zergriff, but and nobody runs the PC version because it's just, it's antiquated. It requires like a special launcher to run, and it's a thing. But I run the PC version because I'm dumb.
Alright, so in about 20 or so seconds, you may want to lower your volume, because something's coming up, and we're obligated to do a little something for this part, but yeah, here we go. It's gonna be right about here.
Eggman! Shoutouts to Swezzy.
Alright, now it's time for MIPing. Mandatory isometric platforming. This is the only part in the game where you're actually required to do this sort of isometric platforming. And there we go. Amber makes it look really easy.
Yeah, it's not. I promise. It took me
It's not easy.
ages
It is
to
not
get that
easy at
right.
all. I still do the spin dash setup because I can't jump on that thing.
Yeah, like, old school MIPing is hard. There's a spin dash shut up that I call...
Shut up. Okay. Panic Puppet 3 has 3 phases. This first phase, Eggman has these hands that just kind of try to pummel you. You lure them, and then you go and destroy the activated hitbox on your shoulder.
I'd counted the 4 a little early there. Like, apparently 3 is the new 4.
And then rinse and repeat for the third side.
The third side?
Third.
How many sides of Eggman are there?
What is wrong with me? I was about to like transition into how that was the easiest of the 3 phases, and somehow I came up with third side. I don't know. Excuse my English.
It's okay, mine's not much better.
This is why I'm a horrible commentator.
I don't know, I think you're doing pretty good.
All right, so yeah, I was about to say that's the hardest of the three phases. So here you're just trying to, and you see Amber making very wide turns. This flame is time based, so you just kind of lure it until it stops just before it hits Sonic, and that's because she's making those wide turns. So it's not unoptimal turns. Besides, these hitboxes are only active after a certain time from this point on.
I have like too many blue balls on the screen right now. I'm not happy. I should be the only blue ball on the screen.
That was a good one.
Yeah. Like, so frame perfect hits on this boss would make it so that not a single ball would appear. I'm not getting any of those. There's one.
Yeah,
there's one. There we go. So we're not done with the run yet. Normally, if this were any percent, this would be where the run ends. But instead, we collected all the magical cough drops, and they're very, very different. They make Sonic T-pose, and you'd think that he'd turn super at that point. No. So we're gonna T-pose on Eggman here, and we're gonna be transported to the final fight. The difference between the Chaos Cough Drops and the Chaos Emeralds is that the Chaos Cough Drops are just actually useless. There's no Supersonic, no cool space fight like S3K, there's just this. And I use audio cues throughout this, so I'm gonna ask TGH to be so kind to explain this.
Yeah, so this fight is not good.
End commentary.
So it has 5 phases. Well, I say that, but you know, you do each phase twice, right? Because that's really nice.
That's great game design.
Yeah, this boss is honestly extremely underwhelming for a final boss fight after to unlock the good ending of the game. But yeah, as the name suggests, this is the final fight, and just enjoy, because it's 5 phases. This is the 3rd phase right here, and after you do them all once, you do them again, and it does not change at all.
So actually, a little fun fact that I realized last week, hold on, is that, those blue sparkles on the ground, they're actually the particle effect sprite that appears when you pick up a ring, but they're using Sonic's palette. So they're not golden, they're blue, but they're the same shades of blue as Sonic. And the red ones here that appear on these bridges, are actually sharing Sonic's, shoe palette, believe it or not. Same exact sprite, just using different, palettes to be able to create a slightly different effect with it, which, to this game's credit, unlike the other, this is my favorite phase, unlike the other, Genesis Sonics, which are known for being glitchy messes at times, this is actually a very well put together game. Its design, on the other hand, as you can probably tell from this boss fight, and that phase alone, its level design leaves something to be desired.
Yeah, it does feel like a very afterthought-ish boss.
Yeah, it's very phoned in.
Yeah, but nevertheless, it is still a pretty decent ending to the speedrun. Because I don't know, it tests your gut a little bit. Because it's very easy to be a little bit early on some of these hits. Like, you have to time them well. That's like the only real
optimization.
Yeah, it's really the only challenge to the fight as a speedrunner.
I don't know, considering how often I died to it when I picked up the game, like, 5, almost 6 years ago, like, I lost a lot of runs to this fight, just game overing in it, because I was not good. And yeah, I'm a dodging goddess, thank you so much. This phase is actually the most complicated, if you could just explain why.
Yeah, sure. So these hands, so you see the bottom hand and the top hand, or from the perspective that we're looking at them from. The bottom hand stays on the right side, and the top hand stays on the left side. And so you're trying to, like, position the hands so that they are in the position, like, as close to the position that they're going to go back to when they try to ram into you as they can go. Which can be a little bit difficult. And that audio cue that Amber uses to spin dash out of the way of the hand really helps to keep that hand where it needs to be. And you'll notice there that Eggman fired 6 rockets and only 5 of them fell. So where did the 6th one go?
I don't know, actually.
Like, that's like one of the great mysteries of this game, honestly. Time's gonna be coming up on Fade Out after the final hit, which will be exactly 6 seconds after the hit. So there's the final hit. The game is over, and time.
41:05.
Good run.
Yeah, definitely good
Very well
run.
done. 341 is also a really good final fight time.
Yeah, 341 is a very common time. More T-posing.
T-pose on him.
So definitely wanted to just quickly shout out the 3D Blast community. And they're fantastic. TGH is one of them. He actually has the world record for this category right now. I'm 3rd on the leaderboards, and my PB's a 39:59, so a 41:05 is definitely a really good marathon time considering all the mistakes I was making. Yep. It's actually better than my Frame Fatale's run, because I got like a 41:40.
Yep. I think so.
Yeah, and it had, like, what I felt was, like, fewer mistakes there.
I feel like all that time lost was in GG1, or RR2.
Probably.
When you fell from the spring.
Yeah, I mean...
That's about a 30-second loss, I think.
Falling from the spring, no.
Sure? Or it's close.
Not at all, that is not 30 seconds. That's like a
I thought
5-second loss, maybe?
We'll time it later, I guess.
But yeah, how like, are we right on schedule now, or what's going on?
We are miles ahead of schedule, actually.
How much time do we have?
Well, so the next scheduled run starts in, like, 42 minutes.
Okay.
So, would you like us to do a bonus run? Because we can do any % 2 players 1 controller if you give us some time to
Yeah, and that's like a 35-minute estimate.
That's about 35 minutes, yeah. And we're a little rusty, so it'd probably be at worst 40-minute estimate.
That sounds fine, because then I think the French team can kind of, land on their feet and run with it. It's just going to be the same game again.
Yep.
Yeah. But any percent 2 players, 1 controller. If you'd like, we can actually, if you give us a few minutes to set up, we can do a hand cam.
That sounds good. I'll swap over to the intermission then right now, and we can sit tight and get that set up.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, just give us a bit. Can you send me the layout that includes the player cam?